Hey y'all, welcome back to Ghosts and Glitter. My name's Rachel and today I'm going over authors that I haven't read, but I am 100% convinced that they are a favorite author. Basically, if their name is on a book, I'm going to pick it up and assume that I'm going to like it. And some of these authors, I've collected a few of their works, haven't read them. Act like they're a favorite, but haven't read them. So before I get into the list, don't forget to like and subscribe. Any books, I guess, but definitely any authors I mentioned will be linked in the description box down below. So, also, someone's back. Come here, friend. My baby is back. Hi. Oh, she can see out the window now. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Okay. First author on the list is Barbara Kingsolver. I own 4 books by this lady. This is a copy of the Poisonwood Bible, and this is Pigs in Heaven. I own a couple of others that are somewhere around here. I own, like I said, multiple books by her. I have a book of her essays. I've been eyeing a book of her poetry. She writes mostly Southern Appalachia fiction, contemporary fiction, and has a huge focal point on nature. And I've never read, obviously she's in this video, I've never read anything by her. I don't know if I'm going to like her writing style. The Poisonwood Bible is definitely one of her most famous ones. It was also Oprah's book club pick, but I have multiple by her. Friend, what are you doing? Okay. The appeal to me of Barbara Kingsolver is someone who writes about the South, and incorporates a lot of nature into her writing. Next on the list is an author. I don't own any of his books, but I have almost bought The Elementals multiple times, and that is Michael McDowell. This is another author that writes a lot about the South. He's from Alabama. He is a horror author that focuses on Southern Gothic and small town horror, which is just, you know, straight up my alley. He's also like what I've heard. I've heard he's also like a slow burn author as well. So that is all stuff that appeals to me, and I am completely convinced I'm going to like his books once I read them. Next up is probably the most popular author on this list, and that is Madeline Miller. This is my copy of Circe, but she's on the list because I want to read everything she has out. Right now, she only has this and The Song of Achilles, and then a smaller little novella as well, but I've heard that she's working on a book that is a retelling of The Tempest by Shakespeare, which I love Shakespeare retellings. So all that to say, everything that she writes seems to appeal to me. I love reading about myth and myth retellings, and I've heard that you don't really need to know too much about Greek myth to enjoy these books, which is great because I haven't studied that in ages. But yeah, I feel like my generation that grew up on Percy Jackson is now part of the reason that these retellings are popping off so much, but I have heard such good things about this, and I'm really excited to get to this at some point. Okay, next up is Alix E Harrow. I have this copy, actually this is my mom's copy, that's a lie, but I have my mom's copy of The 10,000 Doors of January, and I have my own copy of The Once and Future Witches, and this is an author, once again, her type of the type of stuff that she weaves, or I assume she weaves into her writing, really appeals to me. I think she's going to be my perfect brand of magic in books. Not overtly fantasy, but definitely has magic woven in. I know this in particular has to do with a book within a book, and doors that open into other worlds, and a sprawling mansion. And if the book is anything like the cover, then I'm going to love it. Also, it has deckled edges, which I'm a sucker for. This is another author that has a book coming out. I think it's coming out in October of this year, that is supposed to be a dark gothic fairy tale of some sort. So I'm gonna have my eye on that one too. I really need to read this though. Like, this is stunning, and I feel like it's perfect for going into the spring season. Yeah. But yeah, I'm convinced Alix E Harrow is going to be a new favorite author once I read her. Next on the list is another horror author, and that is that is John Langan. I do have finally a copy of The Fisherman, which is on my 23 books to read in 2023 list. It's short enough. It's not crazy short, but it's short enough. I think this is a stunning cover. Even the back of it is beautiful. It's like, I feel like I'm in an art museum when I'm looking at it. I think this is relatively cosmic horror. I could be completely off base here, but he doesn't have a lot of like actual standalone novels out. But while I was scrolling Kindle Unlimited, I saw that he had a couple of short story collections, which I think that I will really enjoy. So I do believe that this is a 5-star prediction for me. I think I'm going to love this, and I think I'm going to love anything he writes. All right, the next author is Jacqueline Woodson. I own, ooh, that has a sticker on it. I own a couple of her books. She writes both adult and middle grade, and I'm pretty sure children's as well. Her books span contemporary fiction and also go into like historical fiction. I think not really going past the 70s, I want to say. This is a middle grade that I picked up not too long ago called Harbor Me. And I think this is like, I think her books focus on coming of age, on family and relationships and friendships. This in particular focuses on friendships and just, you know, hearing each other and hearing each other's struggles. Haven't read, obviously, a book by her, but I think her books are going to hit pretty hard and just be a beautiful read. So I am excited to get to this and the other book of hers that I own as well. Yet another horror author on this list. I don't own any of his work, but I am intrigued by all of it. And that is Brom. He is most known for his most recent release, which was Slewfoot, about a witch in a puritanical colony. And then I've also seen Krampus, which, you know, it's about Krampus. But his other backlist books really appeal to me as well. I think there's like a dark Peter Pan retelling as well as a book about purgatory. But even if the stories themselves are mediocre, like the illustrations, the cover art, the illustrations are absolutely stunning, and I just want to experience that because holy crap. And of course, another horror author, because who am I if I don't completely overwhelm lists with horror things, but that is Alma Katsu. She has quite an extensive backlist, but the books that I'm most interested in and think that I will enjoy the most are her alternative history horror books. She has one about the Donner Party, she has one about the Titanic, and most recently she has one that takes place in the Japanese American internment camps during World War II. I love alternate history, especially when there's a sprinkling of magic or horror or something supernatural in them. So I think those books in particular are going to be right up my alley, and probably also the rest of her backlist, because the rest of it looked really cool too. Okay, another author who has quite an extensive backlist is Emma Donoghue. She writes primarily historical fiction, though she's best known for the book Room. I have a couple of books by her. When I grabbed them, I did not know anything that they were about. I just know that they're historical fiction and by Emma Donoghue. They were 50 cents at the thrift store, and I saw her name and said, hey, that's one of my favorite authors I've never read. So these are two of her books that I have. This one I think might have been her first one published, but it is called Slammerkin. And then this one is called, what is this called? Life Mask. This one's called Life Mask. This is kind of a chunky book too. Like, it doesn't look it, but this thing's heavy. I have a feeling that Emma Donoghue is going to hit like Sarah Waters does for me, which means perfection. Again, I'm kind of collecting her books. They show up in thrift stores a lot, and I grabbed them. We're approaching the final 3 authors on this list. So we have Christina Henry, who I really heard about her last year or the year before when she came out with Near the Bone, which was like a straight up horror isolation kind of cabin in the snow kind of book. And a lot of people talked about how much they loved it, and I was like, yes, that sounds perfect. I want that. And then I looked at her backlist, and she also has a ton of retellings, with like a darker side to fairy tale kind of retellings. She has Alice in Wonderland. She has like a Sleepy Hollow retelling, Peter Pan, I think Little Mermaid. Like, she has all of these like dark fairy tale novels, and I really want to try those out because I think that could be a big win. Next is V.E. Schwab, or Victoria Schwab. I own a couple of her books as well, and I think she's like primarily like speculative urban, light urban fantasy, moving into stricter fantasy as well. She writes both adult and middle grade books, and every single one of them, for like both adult and for middle grade, sound so good. I do think I will start out with The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue to start with her, because my mom read it and loved it, and I own it. So I think I'll start with that one, but I am intrigued by all of her concepts. And the final author on this list, I think, is the only straight up like sci-fi fantasy author on here. That is in K Jemisin. I own this copy of The City We Became, which is not the one I'm the most intrigued with, but because I've decided she's a favorite author, I picked it up anyway because it was a really good price. This, I'm pretty sure, is like the personification of major cities throughout the US, but she also has books that have gods and goddesses, and books about dreams, and books about a post-apocalyptic fantasy world. So I haven't heard really anything bad about her. I am kind of scared to read something by her because she is so beloved by the book community, but at the same time, I think I'm going to adore this. So yeah, that is the final author on this list. Fern, do you want to say goodbye? Come here. Oh, don't knock the books down. Come here. You want to say goodbye? Oh, come here. You know you can't eat that. It's a rock. So with that, Fern and I are gonna go. I'm gonna go read something, probably not any of these books that I just talked about because I'm irresponsible. So yeah, I will see y'all in my next video. Bye.